How are you doing? This is another episode of Naturalist F, and I'm glad that you are here with me experiencing this good teachings that we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be teaching on the topic of the greatest doctor of all time, but we're going to build on it where you can see for yourself who we pick as the greatest doctor of all time. I put out a lot of information on yesterday about how we're going to come about of identifying this great doctor. And we gave some of the thought patterns of some of the so-called doctors of our time that have gone and passed, and see if they fit the bill of being the greatest doctor. But we're going to come to a conclusion at the end of this, and hopefully you will as well come to know who is the true, real greatest doctor of all time. That can, and we're going to even find out what does doctor mean. All right, so make sure you stay tuned the whole show. We're going to start off with our readings of March, and then we're going to go into our topic. So I thank you for tuning in. We're going to be doing this show every Tuesday at 6 o'clock and live. If you have any questions, just tap in and leave a comment up there, and we'll try our best to answer your question. Now, I also want you to hit like and share. You can go to Our Black Media on Facebook, or you can go to Our Black Media on YouTube and hit follow, hit like, and hit the share button, where you can not just hog up this good information for yourself, but make sure that you share it with others as well. All right, so we're going to go into our teachings in the month of March. Now, I do want to let you know I am not a medical doctor. I am not an herbalist. I'm not a chiropractor. I'm not any of the so-called drugging type doctors. I'm just a teacher of hygiene. I teach people how to live a healthy lifestyle that promotes health without the use of medicine, without the use of herbs, without the use of any type of treatments or therapies. So it is the most natural way of teaching people how to get healthy. That's why we call it natural hygiene. So remember that term, natural hygiene. Dr. Shelton coined, came up with the teachings of natural hygiene, or what the word, but the teaching's always been about. But I want you to remember that topic, that name, natural hygiene. Now, let's go into our reading. We usually have our minister on, but she's not on right now. Maybe she'll come on here soon. Decide to choose health. Cut the addicting substance off at its source. Develop rigorous new habits in thought, feelings, and actions that nurture self-honesty and personal responsibility, and preserve with self-caring and self-compassion in the face of setbacks, or what may even look like failure. Now, this was Victoria Bidwell in 1990. Notice how a lot of our teachings were coming from people who were long gone. Let's see, tuning in and watching. Excellent. And make sure you share this information with people. Let other people know that we're on. I am great. Thank you for asking. So our teachings here is from Victoria Bidwell. She lives in Concrete, Washington right now. She has done a lot for the natural hygienic community with teaching and writing and presenting information, doing a lot of research and reporting about how our holistic remedies and techniques, and not remedies because there's no such thing as remedies, but we just call it natural hygienic material. So natural hygienic material is that material that is required for health. It's not actually some substance or medicine that we have to go out there and go get. You're not going to have to go to no health food store and look up some, herb or remedy or concoct some concoction to bring about health. The conditions for health are the same conditions to remove disease. The same conditions to remove disease is the same conditions that's needed for you to remain healthy. So drinking clean water is ideal for the sick man and the healthy man. If the sick man would drink clean water, he will become well. If the healthy man drink unclean water, he will become sick. If he drink clean water, he will remain healthy. Same thing with eating food. The sick man is sick because he's not eating the right food. The healthy man, he will remain healthy provided he continuously eat healthy food. If he go to eating bad food, then eventually his body will become sick. So the same conditions that keep you well is the same conditions that makes you well. And those conditions are what we call natural hygiene. It's laws and principles. You have to apply those principles to your life, and you'll see your health start regenerating. All right. So she said, cut the addicting substances off at its source. You know, a lot of us, we like to taper ourselves out. We say, well, what we're going to do is we're going to, some people say, I can't just quit just like that. They want to continue in their habits. They want to continue at least indulging a little bit in the habit, but that keep the habit up, and that keep the cause of your suffering up. So you got to think about it. If you had a bucket of water that was spilling because you had the water all the way turned up, just to cut it down just a little bit ain't going to stop it from spilling. It's still going to be spilling, so you're still going to have the suffering, the issue going on. So what we're saying is you want to cut the addictive habit at its core, stop it and cut it off, where your symptoms of sickness can disappear completely to never return anymore. But that's going to come from you, cutting it all off at once. Now imagine if you had a dog and you had to cut his tail off. Now you shouldn't be cutting the tail off a dog. It's not natural. All right. If it was natural to cut the tail off of a dog, nature herself will have the tail fall off at any given time. But since nature don't cut the tail off, but in fact grows the tail on the dog, then obviously that's the natural thing, is for a dog to have a tail. But let's say that you, just for sake of understanding here, how are you doing? Blessings. But let's just say, for sake of conversation, that you was to cut the tail off of a dog. Would you think that dog would be okay with you just snipping at the tail until you get it all off? Or do you think it's better just to cut that boy off at one time, let him go through the pain and let it heal, and he'll be okay? Same thing with our addictive habits. It's best that we just cut it off at the bud. Just snip it off all at once and not just chip at it. Ease ourselves into a healthy lifestyle. You know what I mean? No, let's stop the bad habits today. You know what I'm saying? Let's stop the smoking. Let's stop the drinking. Let's stop the excessive eating, the worrying, the stressing, the lack of getting sunlight, the impurities in our air and stuff like that. Let's do away with all these poisons. Don't say I'm just going to take, Febreze out of my house, but I'm still burning candles. No, take all the impurities out of your house and get fresh air in your home that you're living in, so you can breathe fresh air. So whatever it is, first of all, you got to seek what's causing your disease, but you don't know if you don't know the conditions of health. And that's why we're here teaching you what the conditions of health are, what health actually is. Yes, we definitely eat too much waste. Thank you for your comments. But you got to think about it. There's conditions for health. And if you don't know what those conditions, because you were brought up in a lifestyle or environment thinking that, the cause of disease is some type of bacteria or germ or something like that invaded your body and caused you to get sick. But we don't realize that it's food that's rotting in our body that's producing these so-called parasites and bacteria that's then eating away at our flesh and damaging our cells and tissue. So our bacteria and germs don't come from without. Those are germs that's being produced within ourselves from our poisonous waste that we have been indulging in. Our bad habits is what's producing our demise. All right. So let's go on to the next one. When you go to the doctor, you are not seen as a person who needs help with his or her health, but as a potential market for products from the medical factory. That's Dr. Robert Medelson, 1979. Now, he's making a good thing here. I was looking, searching on Indeed a while back for a job in holistic health and healing or holistic nutrition or something close to that, that would accept our credentials. We don't deal with medication. I don't know anything about herbs and remedies. I don't know how to properly dispense any type of poison to anybody in any way. All I know is, the type of foods to eat, how to eat that food, and under what conditions to eat that food under, how much sunlight one should get, how much fresh air one should get, what type of water one should drink, the type of emotions one should harbor, what type of environment one should be in, the temperature one needs to make remain healthy, exercise and helping with strengthening the body and keeping circulation going on in the body. General cleanliness is all I've been taught on how to correct health issues. And when we teach these to other individuals, their symptoms disappear. It doesn't matter what the individual is suffering from, which you're going to see in just a little while when we start talking and teaching from our history of natural hygiene with some of the doctors in there, how it formulated where people now understand what is health. Health is when you are feeling vibrant, when you're doing healthy things. That's going to bring health into your body. But if you don't know that what you're drinking, that you should only drink water, then you might be bamboozled to believe that Gatorade is good for you. Some electrolyte water is good for you. I have people who around here telling me now that they don't drink water at all. It comes to the point say you don't drink water at all. Now I can understand that if you was a pure natural hygienist. If you were only eating fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds and eating the nuts and seeds in moderation, then thirst wouldn't really present itself because you wouldn't be eating stuff that require you to drink a bunch of water like salts and peppers and different other condiments and seasoning. But when you're eating the standard American diet, or you're eating still a cooked diet, even if it's vegan, you're going to still need to drink water because the stuff that you're eating is not water, full of water like your oranges, your watermelon, your cucumbers, your bell peppers, and all your juicy, succulent fruits. They have their water content still intact. But when you start eating these, bean patties, these cauliflower, fried cauliflowers, and the French fries, the Oreos, and the potato chips, and all these so-called dry foods that are highly seasoned, then your body is going to need fluid in which to, dilute those poisons when it comes into the body. So it takes wisdom in knowing, you get people up here telling you, hey, you shouldn't be drinking water. You shouldn't be drinking water. But they're not telling the people the other conditions what they need to do to get to a point where they won't need to drink water. So don't just stop drinking water and you don't know that you're not at the stage in your life or in your health or in your nutrition where you can do away with water. So that's why we're telling you, until you get to that point, the best water for you to drink is distilled water. They want to advocate spring water. They want to advocate electrolyte water, some well water, whatever, all these so-called toxic waters. They got a bunch of sediments and all in there. You don't want to use that stuff. You want to make sure that you're using clean, pure distilled water. Now they're telling us that, this H3O, the water that they're talking about, is in the fruits. Now, like here again, if you're only eating fruits, then yeah, great. Only do that. But if you're eating other foods, if you're drinking fruit juices along with your food, you're going to cause a worse problem than if you just drop some water. Because that fruit is full of sugars, and if you're combining that with other foods, that sugar is going to ferment. That fluid is going to wash out all the enzymes out of your stomach, and that food that you're eating is going to rot. You're going to suffer really bad indigestion and problems with your digestive tract if you eat in the manner that a lot of these people are telling you to eat. Our food should be simple. We should be eating simple meals of just fruit and vegetables, nuts and seeds. If we are eating these other foods, there's a principle into eating these other foods until you're ready to come into the true ideal diet of mankind, which is uncooked raw fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. Now, what I was talking about Indeed, I noticed that every company that I was looking to go and get a job with, and I was searching all over the United States to find a place where I can, fit with someone that I can teach natural hygienic lifestyle habits and stuff with, and being a group of people who are like-minded with teaching health. They all had it where I had to be able to sell products. Well, I don't sell products. I had to be able to, they had some type of products that was so-called scientifically proven to help correct chronic issues and acute symptoms of diseases. But I don't offer that stuff. I've seen chronic issues disappear by just removing the cause of the individual suffering, removing their bad habits out of their life, and their body corrected its own self of the issues that were going on in their body. So why would I advocate the use of some type of herb or remedy when I've seen the same disease disappear with obedience to the laws of their nature? So that's just, the doctors, they not want to, the doctors in our generation do not want to really hear anything about how to get you healthy. They just want to be able to put you on some drugs that can palliate and suppress your symptom and keep you as a client for them. All right, so we're going to get out of the yearbook and we're going to start talking on our topic because we're already 20 minutes in. But we're going to start on the topic soon as we come back from this break. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back and we're going to start talking about identifying one of the greatest doctors of all time, or the greatest doctor of all time. Be right back.
Hi, I'm Katie Brewington and I'm running for Magistrate Court Judge. Magistrate Court is often called the People's Court because people represent themselves or are pro se litigants. Magistrate Court handles civil claims up to $15,000, dispossessory proceedings, pre-warrant applications, and good behavior bonds. I'm a great candidate for judge because I have the experience, compassion, and drive to get the job done. I have been a probation officer, a criminal defense attorney, a solicitor, and a municipal court judge, and I will take all of that experience to get the job done. So remember, vote Katie Brewington, May 21st for Magistrate.
All right. Thank you for staying with us. I'm going to go over a couple of doctors. One named Dr. Isaac Jennings and one named Sylvester Graham. One named Dr. R.T. Trawl. You should write these down because I want you to look up these individuals and you'll be able to hear more about these doctors and study more about them. So these are some of the pioneers of natural hygiene. I've learned a lot from studying their work. That was Dr. Isaac Jennings, Dr. Sylvester Graham, Dr. R.T. Trawl, Dr. J.H. Tilden, and Dr. Herbert M. Shelton. You had Dr. James C. Jackson, Dr. Susanna W. Dodds, and Dr. Robert Walter. Excuse me. So it was more than them as well. You had Carrington, you had a whole bunch of other natural hygienic doctors that I also studied from as well. But these are some of the ones that have made some of the greatest contributions towards teaching, natural hygiene and leaving a legacy. They kept more documented proof in writings and writing books and different stuff to help, this generation know the true cause of disease, how to remove that cause, and how to remain healthy when we have reversed our sicknesses. But I want to tell you a little bit about the basic health teachings of Isaac Jennings. Jennings called his own system of medication orthopathy. If you notice when I talk about the actual degrees that I got when I went to school, I was study for a concept called natural orthopathy. So when I graduated, I was called a natural orthopathic practitioner or a naturopathic doctor. So orthopathy is a term in which it talks about disease as right action. Everything is moving in the right direction. Even when you cough, that's the right direction that your body need to take to free itself of some waste. If it's inflamed, if it's sneezing, if it's diarrhea, and if it's vomiting, all that is right activity that the body is doing under the present conditions it's in to bring the body back into balance, to get rid of some morbid waste, to repair some damage that has resulted from some type of behavior activity that we've done out here in the physical. So orthopathy is right action. So we don't interfere with any of the activities of the body. We let that activity run a course, in other words. So Dr. Jennings, he published a number of books, the chief being Philosophy of Human Life, which is a great read if you was to get time to read it. Medical Reform and The Tree of Life. He was a close friend of William A. Alcott and for years associated with Finney of Oberlin, Ohio, a famous Adventist theologian of his day, the Seventh-day Adventists, because they practice a lot of the natural hygienic concepts as well. All right, so if we was to sum up all of Isaac Jennings' teachings, we would sum it up in this manner. The general law of human economy is a unit. Everything about the body is a unit. In all its operations, as a general rule, whether the result be perfect or impaired health, its tendency is one and indivisible, the highest and best interest of the whole system. For the purpose of showing its nature, tendency, and adaptation to the purpose of life and health, this is examined under a number of divisions. Now, these are: first, the law of action, exercise. Second, the law of repose, sleep and rest. Third, the law of economy, to husband the vital energy. All right, so that meaning you want to conserve that power, your vitality, your life force. You don't want to just expend it haphazardly. You go and spend, a lot of us, we go spend all our energy eating a really big complex meal and have to go to sleep. Matter of fact, we call that the itis. All right, we call that the itis. We go and eat a huge amount of food, and next thing is for us to be dozing off, going to sleep. Now that food is so heavy that it's requiring all our vitality to come and digest that food and at least render it less toxic, that it don't outright kill us. So that energy have to come from somewhere. The energy have to come from the legs. It have to come from the heart. It have to be loaned from the brain. It have to be lended from the liver. The bowels have to give up some of their energy. Everything have to give up its energy to come to the stomach to deal with this complex food. To deal with this complex food, to neutralize, to then dispel this food out of the body that the body can't make use of. The law of distribution, supplying each part of the body with vital energy. You see how the liver had to give up its energy, the lungs had to give up some of its energy. So that's the law of distribution. The body intelligently distributes its energy to preserve itself from any threat, to carry itself to a higher statue or whatever. It's at all time trying to distribute its energy in a wise manner to prolong life and make life as beautiful as possible. The law of accommodation, adjustments to poison. The body will adjust and accommodate poison. That's what the body does. If you keep putting the poison in your body, the body will learn how to accommodate that poison. So it would adjust itself. It would diminish its vitality. It will diminish its attack on the substance that keeps coming in. Let's say that you're constantly drinking alcohol. The first time you drink one glass of alcohol, it makes you stupefied. It causes you to go to sleep. It causes you to stumble. Your body reacts violently to it. You throw it up. You vomit it out. You excessively urinated it out. But if you continuously drink this poison day in and day out, your body will not waste its energy constantly trying to reject or react to these poisons. Because if it continuously expend all this energy, then you're going to die. So the body is going to redirect this energy away from that and learn how to accommodate the excessive poison that's being thrown into your body. Whereas when it was irritating to the stomach would go harder. Where it was irritating to the lungs because of smoking, the lungs tissue will become a little harder to resist and accommodate the continual irritation of the poison. So this is the law of accommodation. The law of stimulation, sounding alarm and danger. Whenever toxins come in the body, the first time, like you say, your body is going to send out alarms. First time you smoke, your body cough violently. You go have headaches. First time you drinking coffee and teas and stuff, your body acts out in disgust. But if you continuously do it, it will learn to accommodate it. The law of limitation, preventing the waste of vital energy by nature. If you continuously do a poison to the point where it's going to suspend all your vitality and about to cause you death, the body will no longer tolerate it. The law of limitation is the same as the law of toleration. It will no longer tolerate a custom poison if it's now at the point where it's about to kill you. The law of equilibrium, revitalizing of weak spots. These Jennings thought the 8 most vital laws of life, attempting to to define what disease is, Jennings says, all right, this is what he says what disease is. Impaired health or disease is simply a lower degree of the action of parts affected, then is performed by the same parts in their highest state of health, together with such defects in the solids and fluids as flow from such depressed action. So he said impaired health or disease is simply a lower activity of action. Your lungs is not operating like it would do under health. So the lungs is not neutralizing waste as efficiently like it used to do when it was healthy. The lungs is not exchanging oxygen for carbon dioxide like it was doing when you were in a state of health. So diminish from your body, your organs and tissues from doing their greatest work is what he's calling disease. All right. Now, we're going to go to Dr. Sylvester Graham. All right. So the first one was Isaac Jennings. Now we're going to the basic health teachings of Dr. Sylvester Graham. Now, few people today realize that Graham bread, so popular until a few years ago, was named after Dr. Sylvester Graham, one of the earliest of the 19th century health reformers, or what we call hygienists. His name is known to relatively few people through his teaching exerted an enormous influence during the last century. A lot of his teaching, a lot of us, we done heard or we're doing, and we don't even know where it came from. All right, so Sylvester Graham was born in 1794 in Boston and was the youngest of 17 children. He was a delicate child, and at the age of 16 was thought to have contracted consumption. Indeed, this natural frail constitution remained throughout life, and as he himself pointed out, it was only his reformed diet and his hygienic mode of life which enabled him to remain in active health and live as long as he did. He realized that he was, had a frail constitution at the beginning of his life. And had he not come into the knowledge of natural hygiene and reformed his diet, started eating healthy, getting fresh air and sunlight, he probably would have been dead a long time ago. But he said, by him changing, even in his state of weakness, his body was able to go a long time. I think he ended up dying at the age of 58 when he probably would have died at the age of 28. But he was able to go a whole nother 30 years because he reformed his life to one of a natural hygienic lifestyle. And he was able to carry on just a little bit longer. Now, one of his greatest works was The Science of Human Life, an enormous volume of 650 pages. It was published in 1843, so make sure you write that down. The Science of Human Life. It's very great. There is some changes that we know to this day, but the foundations of his teaching are still very profound. All right, so I wanted to share this part with you. This is a quotation from his book. While in health, mankind prodigally wastes the resources of their constitution, as if the energies of life were inexhaustible. And when by the violence of these excessive, they have brought on acute or chronic disease, which interrupts their pursuits and destroys their comforts, they fly to the physician, not to learn from him by what violation of the laws of life and health they have drawn the evil upon themselves, and by what means they can in future avoid the same and similar difficulty. But considering themselves as unfortunate beings, visited with afflictions, which they have in no manner been concerned in causing. They require the exercise of the physician's skill in the application of remedy, by which their suffering may be alleviated and their diseases removed. And in doing this, the more the practice of the physician conforms to the appetites of the patient, the greater is his popularity, and the more cheerfully and generously as he rewarded. So the doctors that you see making the most money are the ones that are palliating and suppressing disease the most, and allowing the individuals to continue in their bad habits. The greater the magic the physician have in hiding the cause and the symptoms of their diseases, the more money they're willing to pay them, just to get them back to their accustomed eating, their accustomed lifestyle. They're not too much willing to pay any money to those who are just telling them, hey, stop that, and give them, go get fresh air, go get sunlight, and this stuff. They're willing to go and pay thousands and thousands of dollars to someone to give them drugs and pills and potions and to cut on them and do all this type of stuff that will eventually have them less than a body and about to be halfway into the grave. All right. We're going to go to Dr. Trawl, Dr. R.T. Trawl. All right, and we're going to do that when we come back from break. So when we come back, we're going to get on Dr. Trawl, and we're going to finish up with some of the doctors that we're talking about, and then we're going to hit on the greatest doctor of all time. So we'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Richard Coleman, and I'm running for the office of Sheriff of Chatham County. And when I'm elected, I promise to inspect what I expect. Chatham County, it's time for a change, and that change is me, Richard Coleman.
Well, thank you for returning back with us. Hope you enjoyed that little break. But we're back to the teachings of Dr. R.T. Trawl. He was also a natural hygienic doctor as well. So Dr. Trawl was one of the ones that, you know, he wasn't the first writer of hygiene or anything like that. He wasn't the first teacher or doctor of healthy lifestyle habits. But he was the one that reformed a lot of the natural health teachings and brought the best from like all modalities. Like the water cure had its faults, the remedy cure, the herbal cure had their faults, but he took from the best from all worlds and consolidated them into one hygienic teaching. So he brought, you know, fresh air from one place. He brought regular exercise from one place. Hello, how are you doing? Hey, Miss Russell, how are you doing? Good to see you. have you up here. But Dr. Trawl, he took, a lot from everywhere and brought in all the perfect teachings. He took all the meat and threw away all the bones from all the modalities and put all the meat together. And now we have fresh air, sunlight, ideal food, clean water, regular exercise, emotional balance, nurturing relationships, normal temperature, rest and relaxation, and adequate exposure to the sun. So he took all that. He took the sun cure. He took the clean water cure, the rest cure, the emotional calm, the meditation cure. He took all those and he placed them together and he made it one unit and said if we was to follow these things, health will return back to our body. So Trawl flourished about 100 years ago, and in his time, drugging was the order of the day. The average physician thought of no other form of treatment, and the public had grown so used to the idea that health could be bought in a bottle that it never occurred to them that any other form of treatment was possible. Symptoms of a so-called disease were treated as the disease itself, and the main object of treatment was to smother and reduce these symptoms. Against this idea, Trawl protested strongly. He insisted that practically all disease were in reality processes of cure, efforts on the part of nature to right and wrong, and went so far as to say that anyone who understands the mechanism of a sneeze should understand that the nature of such diseases. For just as foreign matter is violently expelled, achoo! Excuse me. No. But for just as foreign matter is violently expelled in the chewing, in the process of sneezing, so is waste and morbid matter expelled by the body in a set of symptoms noted by us in the many so-called diseases. Basically, the process is the same. And just as it would be absurd to try and smother the sneeze, so it is absurd to try and suppress the symptoms, which constitute the outward and visible signs of the curing process going on in the body. We should aid and abet the body, not hinder and prevent them. Disease itself is the process of cure. That was the basic element of his teaching. This is why you're not seeing us get rid of the health issues of this day and time, because we don't look at the disease as the cure. Every other modality of health is telling us that the disease is something to fight. It's a separate entity from the body. It's come to war at the body. Some evil invader is inside the body and producing it, and we're getting it from somebody else, and it's spreading like this and all. But the only disease there is that can spread is ignorance. That's the only disease that can spread. But any other disease is of our own building. We build it from our own lack of exercise, our lack of getting fresh air, lack of sunlight, eating toxic food. What you eat is going to hurt your body, not the next person's body. You can't spread that diabetes into nobody else. That high blood pressure, any so-called diseases from your own building. All right. Now, I wanted to read another part of him for you. Now, he said, medical men teach us that animal food is stimulating. Here, for once, the promise is true. But stimulation and nutrition happen to be antagonistic ideas. Just so far as a thing stimulates, it does not nourish. Just so far as it nourishes, it does not stimulate. So what he's saying here is, these foods that we're eating, they're stimulating to us and require that stimulation is irritation. Apples don't cause irritation to us. Pears, peaches, plums, watermelon, stuff like that. But those foods that we are delegating as foods in our generation, they are highly stimulating. The saucy, how we have these saucy dishes. We have it all cheese fondue and all type of gravies and all type of stuff that are highly stimulating when we put it in our body. That stimulation is irritating. The apple doesn't cause stinging into your mouth, but we know those Lay's potato chip will leave your mouth feel like you done been eating glass after you finish eating it. They have everything, all your gums all tore up and hurt. I want to go, because we're running out of time, I want to go into a little bit of something here that says the following extracts culled here and there from Charles' writing will illustrate at once the clarity and vision of his teaching and the philosophy underlining them. Thus, in answer to various hypothetical questions, he said, what is health? All right? What is health? Health is normal vital action, the normal play of all the functions. And this means that state or condition in which each organ and part performs its own proper duty. Well, what is disease? Disease is just the opposite, abnormal vital action. And this means a state or condition of unbalanced circulation in which some organs and parts do more and others less than their own appropriate work. Now, this is what you see in pneumonia when the kidneys is no longer able to get rid of nitrogenous material because the kidneys is failing or it's fatigued, and now the fluid is coming out through your lungs and you suffer this pneumonia. Now you got nitrogenous material coagulating in your darn lungs. So what are the conditions of health? The proper use of those materials which are normally related to the living organism and which are usually termed hygienic agencies, coupled with the negative conditions and abuse or misuse of nothing. So in other words, what he just said, what are the conditions for health is the proper use of air, the proper use of water, the proper use of fresh fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, the proper use of rest, the proper use of exercise, the proper use of eustress, good stress, good play, the proper use of temperature, So he's saying, don't abuse what you're drinking. Don't overdrink. Don't abuse, overeat just because it's good food. But he said, what are the causes of disease? They are innumerable. But for all practical purposes, they may all be resolved into the misuse or abuse of hygienic agencies, the introduction of poisons into the system, and the retention of waste or effect matters which constitute the impurities of the system. So in other words, he said, what are the causes of disease? He said the causes of disease is disobedience to those things: fresh air, sunlight, water, fresh air, sleep, emotional poise, nurturing relationship, regular exercise. When you over abuse those things or misuse them or don't do them at all, your body is going to go in a state of dis-ease. All right. And if you allow poisons, you dump poisons into your body have to react to that poison. So that is what disease is. Practically, all disease may be regarded and treated as conditions of obstruction, modified, and complicated according to the existing cause. How do food and poison differ? Poisons are non-usable things, which the living system is obliged to resist and expel. Everything, therefore, which is taken into the system and cannot be used, that cannot be turned into flesh and blood and bones, is a cause of disease. And the vital power is obliged to expend more or less of their energy in getting rid of it. This is why poisons in small quantities occasion debility, and in large quantities, it causes death. What is the rule for drinking water? According to Thirst, it is better to drink little or nothing at meals. If the food is plain and unseasoned, eating does not produce thirst. All right, so that's Trawl teaching. I'm telling you, if you get into Dr. R.T. Troll, you're going to learn a lot about hygienic health. It's so much I want to share with y'all up here, but we're limited on our time, and we're kind of running to the end now. And I haven't even gotten to Dr. J.H. Tilden. All right. So I'm going to go through J.H. Tilden now. I've talked about Dr. Tilden in a lot of our shows previously because he got the toxemia theory. Toxemia explained. He said that the cause of all disease is poison, toxin built up in our body, in our blood. Poison blood, toxemia. Toxemia. All right. So the toxemia brings on irritation to the cells and tissues in the body. The irritation leads to inflammation. The inflammation leads to ulceration. The ulceration leads to induration. The induration leads to fungation. So he says innervation, when your body becomes vitally slow, where your vitality is depleted, you no longer have functioning power because you done used it up eating and drinking and doing a whole bunch of other nonsense. And now you don't have no life force, no vitality, no functioning power to do anything. Your body tends to accumulate waste because it can't get rid of it. You steady eating poison, but your kidneys don't have enough energy to get rid of that poison. Your lungs don't have enough energy to get rid of that poison. Your bowels don't have enough energy to get rid of that poison. So the poison stays in the blood. And that blood is now becoming toxic and irritating to all the cells and tissues that it comes in contact with. And it comes in contact with every organ and cell and tissue in the body. There is no place you can go where there's no blood. So the blood is circulating and passing by every cell and tissue. And if it's a bunch of toxic material in there, it's irritating every cell and tissue. The cells and tissues in your body that are the weakest are the first ones to break down, the first one to cry out in pain. So yeah, the feet may have toxic blood flowing through it, and your hand might have toxic blood flowing through it, but the hand might give out first because you've been overusing and abusing the hand. The feet may take a little while before it start crying out because you didn't over abuse it or anything like that. So that toxemia bring on irritate the cells and tissue. The irritation causes inflamed feeling. The weakest organ going to become inflamed first. Now, inflammation leads to an ulceration. You may have drainage coming from somewhere in your body. You might have this cold that presents itself. You might have a diarrhea that presents itself. You might have balls that come out to try to throw off the waste some type of way. Then that continue waste being built up in the body will start becoming hard to withstand the constant irritation. That hardening is a degeneration and a mutation. It's mutating to become a harder cell to withstand the constant irritation of the poison. That's when your body starts going into the stages of cancer. All right. I also wanted to share here with you. The whole matter may be properly summarized as follows. Life is the creative force functioning in the body. In health, it functions smoothly and silently. When its functions is obstructed, it struggles to save the body by conquering the obstructing object or condition. This struggle is termed disease and named according to location of symptom. There is no such thing as disease per se. The continuous and harmonious existence of the body depends upon strict compliance with law of life written in every particle of its structure, the law of self-preservation. The body is created complete and perfect, wanting in nothing, and incapable of receiving anything from human hands. It is self-operating, self-regulating, self-repairing, self-preserving, and self-curing. All the healing powers in the universe is within the body. No power, force, substance, or thing is able to save the body or serve the healing power within, further than to remove the obstruction responsible for its disturbed equilibrium. The life of the flesh is in the blood. We see this in Leviticus in the Bible, 17:11 through 14. But the life of all flesh is in the blood thereof. Insofar as the blood remains active and normal, and to that degree only will and must all organs, tissues, and cells remain healthy and normal. As long as the blood is clean and pure, then the body has to be clean and pure. As long as it stays that way. But when it becomes toxic, then that body must also be toxic. Because the life is in the blood. The life of all flesh is the blood thereof. And as the conditions of the blood is, so must the flesh be. For as the continuous existence of the body is dependent wholly upon the blood. All right. So here we see, I'm going to have to stop it because we're running out of time now. But we're still going to hit back on this when we come in next week, because I had to go through this really rapidly. But you're seeing now that the number one doctor of all time is the body, not me, but the body. My body is my doctor. It's within. The healing doctor is within us all. But I'm going to hit on that more when we come in next week. I'm sorry we're running out of time, but make sure you follow, hit like, and share, and come back next Tuesday at 6 where we can go through some more of these teachings and give you the sound teachings of health to show you how to repair your body back to health without the use of medicine or the herbal man. So best of health from Savannah Natural Health. Have a good week.
I like that.